Hi everyone, Mature Simmer here. So welcome back to Generational Farming. For those who might be new to the series, this is a competition on FSN where we are simply competing over multiple generations to try to ultimately earn the most amount of money or net worth by the end. So we're on their second generation, as you may have seen on the thumbnail. We're finishing up year 5 here, going to be heading into year 6 shortly. Each generation lasts between 2 to 10 years. It's random. We don't really know exactly when it's going to end, so that's a little bit of the challenge, is trying to figure out what exactly you want to get into, not necessarily knowing if you're going to have time to recoup any money that you put into it. So that kind of formulates your strategy and so forth, depending on, how much you're trying to actually end up in the top 3 spots, which are the ones that will get any type of reward. At least that's what we've been told at this point. And that reward is likely just to be, t-shirt mug, something like that, but, just the bragging rights amongst the FSN community of, being in the top of the inaugural generational farming series. So 2 to 10 years per generation, 7 to 10 generations in total. So again, this is generation 2. We've got at least 5 more to go. And that is what I'm trying to do here. So my solution to this conundrum has been grass. I've done lots and lots and lots of mathematical modeling. You can go back and look at the earlier episodes in the first generation. Most of the titles should give you a little bit of a clue on the ones you'd want to focus on if you really want to understand the ins and outs of the finances. But, having done that, I determined after the first year in the first generation that everything else was basically a losing battle or chasing an almost insurmountable hill, because grass basically is about 10 times as profitable as anything else that you can do on the same amount of acreage. So someone running a lot more grass than me, can easily beat me. Someone running a lot more acres than crops is still going to struggle. They need basically about 10 times the acreage. There's a little bit of flexibility there in productions and so forth. We've got some folks trying sheep and so forth. It's better. It's still, at least by math standards, which is how this program runs after all, is still, unless you're just running an operation that takes enough time, you could theoretically go ahead, but other than that, with the other rules we have as far as X number of animal pens and so forth, just not worthwhile. So I'm sticking with this, and I think, I should do okay with that. I'm not seeing a whole lot of evidence that I won't. I know the one person that was ahead of me after the first generation was far, 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 far ahead of me, and that, I think, is very clearly because they worked probably 4 or 5 times as much land as I did doing grass, and therefore obviously easily made at least 4 or 5 times the profits. Whoops, we've got lag here, so that's not going to help anybody. Just gonna screw things up. But hey, that's part of multiplayer farming simulator, is just having the server do annoying things like that. So my process here has been, I've gotten things down to 3 mows a year. Waiting for the full harvest day gives me enough grass that even though I could mow on a forage day, which I was doing for a long time, I made that change here on Generation 2 about a year or 2 ago, probably maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So, and it was kind of a happy accident. I was actually gone because I went on vacation, for over a week, which basically meant I was not here for a year in the game for the most part. When I got back, the grass was ready to be fully harvested because I couldn't do it every other day because I wasn't here. And when I looked at what I received off of the field, that kind of opened my eyes, and I said, wait a minute, I can get basically the same amount of grass off in 3 mows that I can in 4. So why would I want to spend all that extra time mowing a 4th time for virtually no benefit? So that is where I'm at here, and then that also lowers other costs that are kind of periodic based that happen, say lime, every 3rd time you plant a field. If I'm only doing 3 mows a year, I only need to lime once a year, where before when I was doing 4, it was a little more than once a year. And so depending how many years we were here, I could get 1, 2, probably even 3 or more additional things of lime on the field, which turns into tens of thousands of dollars. And when you start, as we did, with only $250,000 and nothing else to your name, that can make a big difference. So that gets you kind of where I'm at, but also explains why I'm doing what I'm doing. And for those who've been following, you kind of know the drill. So I'll be mowing here. That usually turns into, I need to lime in the off season, but the other thing I'm gonna probably try to do is move a bit of silage. So I'm gonna mow this, but I'm not going to pick up the grass today because it is late, even though it's mid-afternoon here. The server being off, it's creeping up between 10 and 11 p.m. in real time, and so I'm not going to be here into the wee hours of the morning, if for no other reason. Also, then the servers would reset, so I could only go so far. So I think if I started now and tried to collect, I couldn't even get it done before the server would reboot, and then I'd probably lose some of the work, so no reason to do that. But the fermenting silos are not working right now. They are full. They were full yesterday, I think, or maybe even the day before. I think it was yesterday. Yesterday meaning September, so sometime in that time frame. And let's see, I guess I normally go 3, so I should probably stick with that. I'm trying to just start moving up and down because that just tends to be a little faster because I'm not sitting here trying to drive and not being 100% efficient. So, there's probably several feet that I'm leaving that I could be mowing, or as you saw as I was coming up here, I missed some and then had to hit reverse and back up to get what I missed, and it's just a huge waste of time. So I'd prefer not to waste time, but that's why I'm making the choice that I'm making to do what I'm doing. Alright, so now at this point I've got 3 passes on both ends. Now I will just start running up and down the rows. Again, we've got 21 rows from the road. That's how far out I go. And so everything's the same. So you've seen that I've field sampled. That one tends to go about 5 or so. So it's not quite every 2 years, but it's spread out enough. So I did that last time before I went ahead and fertilized the field here, because otherwise it won't fertilize at all with precision farming if you've got soil sampling, because it has no data, so therefore it assumes it needs to do nothing, even though that's incorrect. So in short, my plan is going to be to probably move, say, 140,000 out of each of the silos. So that's going to be 4 loads each, 12 loads in total, whatever I'm going to get. So we'll take a peek when I turn around here what the pricing is, just so you've got a little window into the vicinity of where I'll be at, because it's probably going to take me another 30-40 minutes to finish this field, and the price could move a bit, but it shouldn't move a lot. So 174, so above the median, which is all I hope for, but obviously it'll be higher and higher later, so the challenge does become kind of staying ahead of this. But I can probably pop back in here in the morning, run a few more loads, give myself a little bit more clearance. But if I do about 140, that's going to give me 24 hours almost before it fills up again. So I should be okay to come in for a little while and move some silage again sometime tomorrow before this time. So that is what my logic is. That is the plan. That is what I will be doing. And I thank you, as always, for tagging along, checking out what's going on here, and keeping up with what I'm doing here on generational farming. And I will see you next time.